You might be reading manga wrong. Let me explain. I've recently started rereading Berserk, and if you've been living under a rock or new to anime and manga culture, it's the Attack on Titan of manga. I absolutely love this manga. It has to be one of the best stories I've seen or read, and it's been great getting immersed in the story again. That manga in and of itself deserves a whole video. But all of this got me thinking about how we read manga now. The trend with manga is to read it as soon as possible when the new chapter comes out, so you end up sitting down for that 5 to 10 minutes once a week to read that new chapter. Then by the end of the day, you forget that you even read it. It starts to become repetitive and short-lived. The manga itself, in my opinion, is better if read in volumes, not chapters. I like to think mangas are like roller coasters. You wouldn't decide to experience a minute of that roller coaster once in a while, would you? You'd want to get the whole experience in an all-in-one package. So instead of reading it that way, just give this a go. Let those chapters marinate into a volume, then read it, because some chapters are made to contrast future chapters. The mangakas don't just pump out one chapter after another, they have the base of the story all laid out, and in some cases, they have every little detail of the story written down. Which is why sometimes specific chapters are made to contrast others. For example, spoiler warning for Chainsaw Man chapter 138, skip to this timestamp if you don't want to get spoiled. Chapter 137 itself has no action. We get introduced to a character that seems like a nobody, and at the end of it, we get this bombshell of a scene with her. I don't think I can even show it on here, but let's just say that even Denji was flabbergasted. Here's where the things get interesting though. The very next chapter is this crazy sequence where the new character sings along to a song. And as she does this, a massive group of guys attack Denji. It seems like a simple concept, but the execution was very well done. Then after the fight sequence, we actually find out who the new character really is. She isn't some random girl from Denji's school. She's actually his handler who was supposed to keep an eye on him. In comparison, these two chapters elevated each other, as the action we get in the second one feels a lot more grand because of the quiet chapter before it. We then get an explanation and reveal who the new character really is on top of it. I read these chapters as they came out, and in conclusion, I think I would have been far better off reading them together as a package instead of waiting a week between them. The weekly format is very flawed in a way. You don't really get enough material to really immerse yourself into the world. It begins to feel more of a throwaway experience, or at worst, homework. Of course, there are advantages with reading weekly chapters, like getting involved in the community and reading along with them, then discussing the events and memes in that week's chapter. You still kinda get a taste of this when you read it in volumes, just not as potent. If you wait until the manga has completed volumes and it releases physically, then purchase it, you not only support your favorite mangakas, but also it brings a whole new and special experience with it. Right, imagine this. You wait months for the volume to be finished. It finally releases and you instantly order it online. It comes in while you're at work or at school and you plan a whole ritual around it. Get a cup of tea brewing. Yeah, I'm very sorry, I do live in Britain.
I've just woke up in a fucking steaming mood, yeah? Because I live in a shithole! Do you know what I mean? Birmingham is a fucking shithole! I hate the fucking place!
You then load up either your own or already created playlists specifically for that manga, put your headphones on, and you immerse yourself in that world. You could read it all in one sitting, but what I recommend is reading it over the course of 3 days or so, depending on the size of the book, just to give it a little more time for it to sink in. Not too much, but just a little. That way, it's a lot easier to remember exactly what happened in the story and appreciate it a lot more. Or don't. Sometimes the book is just too good to put down.
Oh my god, that shit made me fucking bust.
That's exactly what I did with Berserk when I first read it. I would order new volumes as I read it, and once I finished the volume, I would order the next one. In the wait for the next one, the story would be on my mind constantly. Then 2 days later, the next volume would come in. I'd get back from work and unbox it, and then marvel at the absolute beauty of a Berserk special volume, because Jesus, they got to be the best looking books hands down. Then of course start my daily ritual of getting the tea brewing, get my playlist playing, and so on. I ended up collecting the whole special edition collection, at least all the ones that I released so far, and it looks absolutely unbelievable on display in one piece. I did also try the other way of reading manga online, as it's more readily available and very easy to read for free, which I don't condone or justify. You could say that I got to taste both ends of the stick. Well, figuratively, not literally. I don't go around sucking on sticks in the park. Huh? I read Homunculus not long ago online. In fact, that's what my profile picture is from. And I'll tell you this much, it was also engaging, but it didn't have that sparkle of reading it physically, like it did with Berserk. You could blame it on the manga not being as good, but in my eyes, both of these mangas are absolute peak of story writing, but I just did the mistake of reading it online. One thing I did realise now though, is that because of the small breaks in between reading Berserk, I remember the story a lot more clearly now that I look back on it, compared to Homunculus. I kind of got carried away and read all 15 volumes of Homunculus in less than 2 days.
What?
It was really that good. But now, because of it, I can only remember the important plot twist of it compared to Berserk, where I find myself remembering whole arcs. I'm not saying that you have to buy books and not read online, but many people are not fortunate enough to have money to spend on such things. I'm not hating whatsoever on those people, but if you do have the opportunity to read physically, I very much recommend you do. For a start, you could read the first 2 chapters online to see if you enjoy the manga, and then of course order it. Then at the end of reading it, you have a sick collection to go with it.
Oh, let's go! That's class!
Because let's be real, some of these manga collections look insane. Especially Berserk, Vagabond, Tokyo Ghoul, and Vinland Saga. At least those are the ones that stick out in my mind. There's probably plenty of more manga collections that look just as good. So next time you decide to read a manga, read the first chapter online, and if you like it, go ahead and order the first book, and create your own little ritual around it. Trust me, you'll grow to appreciate those moments a lot more and end up loving the manga itself even more for it. And not to mention, you'll end up with some sick looking collections. Thank you for making it this far, and leave a like if you had a good time. I will see you in the next one.
Yeah. By the way, I've never let these thoughts